Cloud. Okay, this is the mastermind, your $1 Million Mastermind call. What's it, July 24th, 2019. We're going to be talking about your massively transformative purpose. We're going to be talking about Buckminster Fuller and some inspiration there. A little bit more stuff to dig a little deeper into your massively transformative purpose, but everybody's made fabulous progress. And then we're going to shift next week towards, okay, well, how do we take all this and turn it into a business? Yay. But this is really great. Well, so important to get clear on where you're going and why before slapping on a business. So who wants to get us started with either some gratitude or an insight?
Gratitude. I am grateful for, how did I word it? I'm grateful for fun and stimulating conversations with my husband. We were talking about the work here and my transformative. He helped me tweak my purpose. So that's always cool when I can say that, I can be so specific and I can tell you which word he changed. So it's really like words, delightful. It's extraordinary to be able to share that with him. So
nice. Okay, great. Well, we look forward to hearing a little later which word he tweaked. Who wants to go next, Diane or Maureen, with gratitude or insight?
I will. I just am extremely grateful that things have calmed down at home and Laco has been just fine and easy. So very, very grateful for calm and peace.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Medication then.
I think so. I think that was a big, big thing that made a big shift for the day she was on it, and then a couple days after she was off, and now she seems to be just like she was before.
Oh, good.
So
we like to think that we're minds on a stick, but we're very influenced by our bodies.
Yeah. No kidding. So
thank you. That's great. I'm really relieved. I was concerned about that situation.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, and Maureen, I'm so happy to hear that. And I went off and I'm back on my phone. For some reason, the iPad's not wanting to do the internet. So if I go away again, y'all will know what happened. I'm just so grateful to get to be here with my son and his family. And I'm getting things ready. Aurora knows this, but y'all, my son and his wife put their house on the market Monday, 2 days ago. So they've already got they put an offer on a house. It's been accepted, and so we're working to keep this one clean. So grandma's got to, once we're off of this call, grandma's got to go do some sweeping and stuff like that because there's a showing later on today. So grateful for that, praying that it sells.
Are they staying in Pennsylvania or are they moving somewhere else?
They're in New Jersey, and yeah, they're just going to a town maybe 10 minutes away, better schools, better opportunities for our grandsons and stuff. Bigger house. Nice. They've outgrown this one.
Nice. Well, I am really grateful to this training group because I really leaned into where you are at. And I switched up, as you probably noticed, the order that we did things in. And I am so delighted, thanks to learning, from Stephen Kotler more about flow. I really think this piece that we've been doing the last 2 weeks around flow and around what you're curious about is such an important piece to do where we have done it. And I'm so grateful for this group because this is the first time I've done it in this sequence. And I think it's going to result in you being unstoppable, because in the previous classes got great breakthroughs, but we very quickly shifted into business strategy and business implementation. And I think there's always a danger with that if you don't have a really firm foundation in who you are and what you're curious about and what excites you and what energizes you and what your unique divine purpose is on the planet, that your business might be good, but it might never be great. You hadn't taken a couple of weeks to deeply consider what your life has been a unique laboratory for, what you're curious and passionate and excited and energized about. Because there's so many people on the planet, you don't need to do anything. You are best served to do the thing that you're most intrigued, curious, and passionate about. And it will relate to your own life experiences. So your signature story, doing it before the flow and the Massively Transformative Purpose, I think works very nicely because you reconnected with your history. I saw you each reclaim fragments of yourself that perhaps had been orphaned or cast aside or were in the corner gathering dust. And as you reclaimed those pieces, I saw that it worked very nicely to then look at what you're curious about, because those things are connected, and then go into the Massively Transformative Purpose. So I'm very grateful for this new structure. I think it's better. I like it. I'd love to hear your comments, and then we can shift into hearing your MTPs, and I'm going to add a little bit more comments, reaction. I thought it worked nicely to do it in that sequence. How about you two? How about you three?
I mean, we didn't know any other. We didn't know any. we didn't know what it was like without it. I think it's worked very nicely, but there's no way to compare it because I don't know what it was before.
What I would offer is that I wouldn't have my purpose without this process, the way it was presented. I've heard many times to be curious, but again, I never knew it. I never felt it because I never took action on it. So doing these exercises the way you presented them, in the order you presented them, I have experienced how powerful curiosity is. And, like with everything that you've done in this course, like all of the exercises that you've given us, that's why I know what my purpose is. And I've been, I've been stuck for so many years. I was stuck for so many years. And now it's like, holy shit. Wow. Right? And that's because of the guided exploration, and like I'm getting goosebumps, and teaching me how to be curious, like with such specific instructions. And now I am excited to make curiosity one of my everyday tools. Like it's just holy, it's amazing.
Nice.
Curiosity is
I love
a
it.
great thing to have at the forefront of your mind for an everyday tool in so many ways, because I think if we are reacting to somebody and we can respond with curiosity rather than upset or rather than a conclusion, that's going to go well. And curiosity is a really lovely fuel. So there's no striving, there's no pushing, there's no forcing. It's like what you naturally want to do. So, well, delightful. And it was interesting for me because I read Buckminster, this book, A Fuller View. I reread it. It's edited by Stephen Seiden, but it's based upon, Bucky Fuller's philosophy and some quotes by him. And one of the things he talked about in it is, okay, really be present with whoever you're speaking with, and don't come with a canned presentation, but tailor what you're up to specifically meet where they're at. And I felt like that's what I did, and it worked. So I'm thrilled. So thank you for contributing to that. Diane, do you have something to add to that before we?
Well, I love the ahas these ladies are having, and I thank you for having us read Ferocity, the 88-page ebook. When I started, I was like, oh, this is, and I just didn't want to put it down. I had to at times, but it has really given me some insight, and I'm going to go home and print it off, and really, because I can use this in coaching.
Yeah.
It's huge. I loved it. thank you. And it's made me do some thinking. And I was listening to Janelle podcast today, and there's some things on there that fit in with it, on some things I'm going to add with this. So pretty exciting. I'm curious, what will happen when I blog for 30, 60, 90 days in a row?
Well, I think if you blog about things you're curious about, stand back and expect wonderful things to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd love to I just really celebrate that. I think this is a great thing to be aware of: the flow, the creativity, the big problems you want to solve, what you're intrigued and energized by, rather than depleted and drained and have-tos. The sort of excited and curious and get-tos. That's the energy to build a life on, right? To build a business and a life. So
and one more thing I was going to share, a coach you and I know says, be a curious 3-year-old.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I like it. Very good. So you each did a lot of work and put it online. Maureen, your Excel spreadsheet was very thorough. I loved it. I got chills when I read the MTP that you concluded with. Would you, if you have it handy, just give us highlights of what you discovered, noticing 25 things you're curious about, 15 problems you'd like to solve, then noticing the overlaps, and then creating your massively transformative purpose?
Well, it was some of it came pretty quickly in terms of the curiosity and the problems, and then some of it took a little thought. It was at first I felt like I was repeating myself a few times, and then I realized that there were just really nuances of the similar threads. And so the themes that I came up with were, of course, the spirit connection or connection to spirit, socialization, how we're socialized, and how we act or react or whatever in the world, and then just what's the true meaning of life? Why are we really here? And they are all, of course, interrelated. And then my massively transformative purpose, which I already had the tagline. I've had it for years, unlock the treasure of you, but it really, really boils down to self-love. It really boils down to that, to me. And it's something honestly, I still struggle with it in some areas. And I know I've had an incredibly blessed life. And if I struggle with it, then other people are going to have, if there's something I can do to help them through it without having to go through 60 years of, or 50, however many from, however old I was when I kind of started with negative self-talk, then that would be amazing to be able to.
That would be absolutely amazing. It will be absolutely amazing. I loved it when I read your Unlock the Treasure of You, I think it was, and the conclusion that self-love is really the only problem. So, this was Louise Hay's entire coaching practice was all around helping people with self-love. I heard somebody else, another coach, I can't remember her name, but that's her only thing she does. She coaches stars, and that's the only thing she works on is self-love.
Yeah.
She has this lipstick exercise. You might be able to Google her. I love myself. Lipstick all over.
I think I've read about her.
What?
I think I've read about her, but I can't remember the name either.
But it doesn't matter. What that shows us is this is a really deep, ever-ending well to explore and to serve and to contribute to. It's huge, and it's very you. And I would offer that if you weren't struggling sometimes with it, you would not be the right teacher for it.
Right.
Because you would be disconnected from that struggle, and you would perhaps sometimes be inadvertently contemptuous or impatient or judgmental. Tiny flavors would show up.
Right.
but instead you are reminded of the struggle when it occurs in your own life. So this makes you the perfect speaker, coach, mentor to lead people down that path. Right? So
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. Good job. Look at you.
Thanks.
You're beaming. You're beaming.
Yeah, getting reconnected.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does so friggin' flow from your signature story and reconnecting with that. It's great. Anyone else want to add anything, feedback from Maureen?
The thing about like when you choose to share your struggles to help others get what you want, like unlock the treasure of you, that means that, you know, like we're unfinished pieces. Like I remember doing this thing as a kid. I'm the unfinished masterpiece. Like, so there is a continuous existence, right, with your intention to love yourself. And so if you're teaching other people, that means you're practicing it at a higher level, right? Like it really is a focus for you, because it's not just you doing it for yourself, you're doing it for other people. So it's like a reinforcement of having that in your life. So, wow.
Yeah, thanks.
Miracle says, you only have one problem, and that problem is separation. And there's only one solution. That problem is reconnection. And we separate ourselves when we bully ourselves or don't love ourselves or judge ourselves. It is interesting. The other thing it said that, maybe I shared it last week, I don't know. But I loved it so much, you're going to get it again. It said, the only reason that you think the problem and the solution are separated in time is because you are misusing time. Problem and solution are created simultaneously. And I really like that, like the book I'm working on now, Thinking as a Multiplier, I'm exploring the importance of words and how words can words point to something, but they can also misguide us if we get trapped in the word. So for example, you can't have a left-sided person without having a right side. You can't have giving without receiving. You can't have, you know, one without the other. If you think it through, you can't have a front without a back. And I think it's the same with problem and solution, that they define each other. Anyway, that may be a little far out there for today, but that's where I'm going with my new book.
Awesome.
Hey, Heidi, would you like to share how your process of coming to your massively transformative purpose, the things that interest you, problems you'd like to solve, to give us a flavor of that?
Sure.
You did a very thorough job on Facebook, but I think it's important to share with the live witnesses.
Yes. Yes. Well, the exercises were, you know, mind-blowing, so that's cool. So the massively transformative purpose, and Aurora, you know, as always, you challenge us to, like, you know, kick it up to the, you know, universal extension, which is not something I have been known to do previously. So my purpose, raising humanity's vibration by teaching individuals to release their limitations, embody their strengths for extraordinary joy and fulfillment.
Awesome. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Which
Yeah.
did you want to share that?
Oh, I had released their limits. And Rob offered that limitations would be better because limitations implies that we put them upon ourselves.
Yeah, it's a little.
And so we have the power to release them. And so, yeah, that's a way better word. So I am like 100% happy with the first part. Like,
can you read it again, please?
Sure. Raising humanity's vibration by teaching individuals to release their limitations and embody their gifts for extraordinary joy and fulfillment.
Okay. You were saying?
And I'm so excited. I'm doing this accelerated evolution practice with a coach, another coach. And so I am experiencing my energy changing and raising my vibration. So I am fully confident that I can raise humanity's vibration. And so having the structure of this, okay, so what's my big BFG, right? My mind-blowing goal is to raise humanity's vibration. How am I going to do that? I'm going to do that by teaching individuals to release their limitations and embody their gifts. I was playing with either strengths or gifts, but I feel like gifts. And go ahead.
I like gifts.
Yeah. And so what do people get out of it? Extraordinary joy and fulfillment, which I am living. So there's no question in my ability to practice this purpose, which is, I got to think of different words besides mind-blowing, because, when they always mission statements. I've been around businesses for a long time, and I've heard all of this jargon and all of these concepts, right? And, work on your purpose and all the, your mission statement, and how powerful clarity is for success, how important it is. It's integral to success, and you've talked in the flow about how the mind likes to know what it's doing. Like, it needs to know what it's doing, and then it operates more effectively. And so having this specific purpose, that I have all these steps within that purpose, and I know I can do all of them. So, what's his name? Cynic always talks about the why. So I have my why. Why am I doing anything? I am doing it because I want to raise humanity's vibration. How am I going to do it? I know how. I'm going to teach individuals to release their limitations, embody their gifts for an extraordinary joy and fulfillment. So I've got the blueprint. I've been looking for this blueprint, right?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And just a few weeks ago, you were not clear at all. So I'm really glad. That's so awesome. And I'm glad, and I celebrate that you have certainty. And also, I want to share that your massively transformative purpose, once it is written down and stuck on a mirror where you see it every day, it's your sword and your shield. It's your foundation. You will have moments of doubt, but by having that as your North Star, you know what direction you're going, and you will just plow on until you reconnect with certainty. So this is why, you can build a very tall skyscraper if you have a deep, solid foundation. This is your deep, solid foundation. There may be earthquakes, there may be storms. It probably will rain. Some people won't like the shape of your skyscraper. Who cares? Because you know what you're doing and why. Fabulous. Diane, I don't know that you did this exercise because you had all your family stuff going on.
I haven't finished. I've got the curious and the problems.
Great.
Want
to share any part of that with us today?
It keeps coming back, just like Maureen, to the self-talk, the self-bullying, just as what I talked about in my TED. It keeps coming back to that type of thing, whether, women who won't step into their mission. And I know that problem has to do with how we talk to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And watching Heidi and Maureen, and on their coaching calls, just seeing the massive transformations that are happening for them helps me to realize that all of us sharing our message and knowing the problems, we're going to change the world. And I see these two doing it. They're just doing amazing things. And Maureen and I even talked about another signature story for her that has to do with a part of when that self-bullying and self-talk started.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, you'll each have many. So I think we are all of our tribe are in one way or another raising the vibration of the consciousness of planet Earth, because there couldn't be nothing more important for an individual's happiness or for us to save the planet and save humanity. So whether it's on a small individual scale of a one person at a time or a global scale, I think we are all joined in raising the vibration of humanity, or all of our tribe anyway, of light workers. And yet each one of us is unique. So you will bring your unique experiences and flavor to it, which is so beautiful. So in, again, writing my book, Thinking is a Multiplier, I've been really thinking about thinking, which is a curious meta thing to do. And I've been leaning into, like, what if all of these self-limiting thoughts and beliefs or bullying are not even mine? That it's like radio waves and I'm a tuning fork and I pick them up and I download it. And then it sticky, right? Because I bite. And so I've been practicing something it says in the Course in Miracles. My mind holds only what I think with God, which is a lovely mantra. You might experiment with it. So my mind holds only what I think with God is a wonderful thing for me, and you might try it, to when I download these self-limiting or bullying or sticky thoughts, I just go, it's like Teflon. It's like my mind holds only what I think with God. And thank you for sharing, but I'm not even sure that's my own thought. So something you might want to try. So I'd like to share, which is a handout I've already put on our Facebook group, so you'll have it. But a few more questions for you to consider this week as you may want to expand your MTV, or it may just deepen it, or just add a little flavor to it. And then I've put on our Facebook group, I'd like you to start watching the videos around your unique branded purpose, your unique branded system, and your irresistible offer. So remind me, well, I'll say it right now, I guess. So your unique branded system is, okay, Heidi, how exactly are you going to teach? What outcome do you want? You're pretty much clear on the outcome. So from where they're starting, or where you anticipate that your clients are starting, whether it's at a talk or whether it's a training or something like that, like what are the steps? It could be 3 to 10 steps, say, that would provide this result, that they release their limitations and embody their gifts, right? So think about, what are the little mind shifts required, or what are the things they would need to know, or be, or exercises you'd have them do. But then you can consider whether you're doing this in a 90-minute speech, in a half-a-day workshop, in a weekend workshop, or it could be like this training, it could be several weeks long. So you want to create that outcome, though, whatever you do. So that's what your unique branded system, watch that video, that will help you. And the same for Maureen. So consider, for people to unlock the treasure that they are, what steps, what mind shifts, what exercises, what processes would you offer to create that shift? Now, you've both just experienced massive shifts, so you're welcome to, be inspired by that and steal my content, I'll share my content, to help you achieve that for others, because it will come out your own flavor. So think about that. That's your unique branded system. And then after that is, okay, what's your irresistible offer? So when you have a big outcome, then you want to think about how you're going to offer it at an event, at a speaking, at a training. And we'll get more into that. That's what's coming up down the pipeline. Any comments on that before I share a little bit more about your massively transformative purpose and some questions for you to consider, inspired by Bucky Fuller? Yes, Heidi?
I was just going to say that, okay, so just because I can be literal, first I wanted to say that, you know, Rob he's such a good pupil. He pays attention to what you do. So he's like, well, you know, maybe you need to partner with Aurora because you can't do all this stuff by yourself. And I'm like, I don't know what the model looks like, because that's what we were talking about last night, right? Exactly in, you know, the how, which you're telling us. So did I hear you say that you are comfortable with us sharing your content?
Yes. You did hear me say that.
Okay. So like, for example, if I say to someone, you know, Aurora Winter taught me this exercise, you know, the 25 things I'm curious about, and it's, you know, it's done extraordinary things for me, I would offer that you practice this.
That's all I would request. Like, if you're wholesale lifting my material, then just say, hey, Aurora taught me this, and it helped me. It probably help you. Because I'm committed to making a difference. So what do I care? I encourage you to. And you're both welcome to join my team if you want. We've got a good team going on. We can use more people. We're all aligned. So I'm here to serve. And a larger team would be great. Actually, yeah, it's been interesting doing this work myself as I've been leading you through it. And there's something that Bucky Fuller said, and I'll just share that with you because it relates to your comment, Heidi. But did you have a question, Maureen, about anything?
Nope.
Okay. So let me share, because it's been interesting and helpful for me. It's been very helpful for me, honestly, because, okay, your pictures disappeared. Why is that? I'd like to see your little pictures. Video panel. There we go. Because I'd taken so many trainings taught by men who are very much about making a lot of money. And I felt like it was useful, but I also felt like I was a little bit off of what was true north for Aurora. And I actually have reconnected with exactly the right flavor for me, I think, by doing the same exercises that I've gotten you to do. All right, so I'll come back to the beginning, but this relates to what Heidi just shared. Okay, Buckminster Fuller said, you have to decide. Can you see this okay? Should I make the text bigger? How do I do that? Whoa. Can you read that now?
Yep, that's better.
Okay. So Buckminster Fuller said, you have to decide whether you want to make money or make sense, as the two are mutually exclusive. So the first time I read that, like 10 years ago, I'm like, well, people need to make money, they have to survive. But then I took a deeper dive into it last night. And what he's really talking about, which I'm talking about in thinking as a multiplier, is words. And that we get confused. Like, money was a symbol for wealth because it was tiresome carrying around cattle or sheep or gold. So money came to represent the cattle or sheep or gold that you had elsewhere. Money, in a way, really represents trust. Money helps to reassure about the trust that you really do have something of value to offer. But it's been a long time since we've invented money, and now you hear so many people online talking about make $1 million, make $100,000 a month, money, 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 money. But Minister Fuller is helping us to understand is that when we say the word moon, it's not the same as the moon. When we say the word love, it's not the same as the verb of being loving. It's a word, but it could be hollow, right? So what he's pointing us to here is the error of prioritizing making money as opposed to creating value. So true wealth is value. When you create true value for yourself and others, unless you have a kink in your hose of receiving, you will make money. But it's the intention that really matters. And the sequence also matters. So I believe that the way we're doing this, connecting with your massively transformative purpose first, and then going on to next week, start to look at how to create a business on that, is exactly the right thing. So I think our society has forgotten that money is only a symbol for something else. And I want to remind us that, I got choked up here, that what we're really about is creating and adding value to the world, right? Yeah, we're getting emotional. So that's why I'm glad for you to share anything I've taught you with others, because I'm committed to providing value to you and through you to the people you touch, because that's what really matters, right? Comments?
That's
Dan?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I see, your emotion, energy in motion. So when I witnessed you and how powerful this information is, that just makes me pay attention to it. And the win-win of this, right? Like the authenticity of being of service, like being in service, like living. This is living in service. Value for others is value for yourself. There is that the connection. There's a connection, right? So it's not, people in the past have used others to get money and manipulated, and there was unclean. It was an unclean pursuit. Yeah. And so offering us such clear, specific explanations of what wealth is, very powerful.
And thank you, Buckminster Fuller. Okay, so this is me, my rant this morning. I'm writing over 2,000 words every morning. I'm on fire here. I wrote this for you. So it's really your North Star, your fuel. It'll make you unstoppable and compelling, and it will attract people, and it will repel. So I invite you to expect, I want you to have an MTP that has got polarity, that's got energy, that is a magnet. A magnet, a great magnet, attracts and repels. If you aren't getting some pushback from somebody, you gotta up the ante on how powerful your MTP is, I would offer. Because you don't want a neutral reaction, you want to attract your tribe and deflect the people who are not your tribe. So I think that your MTP, and you're all doing this beautifully, answers this question. If the success of failure of our planet, I get choked up, and all of the life upon it depended on your actions, what would you do? I think you're beautifully answering that question. Because I think in the end, it's up to us. Nobody's coming to save us. Nobody's coming to save planet Earth. It's not, I believe the answer is not going to come from big, lethargic corporations that are focused on the bottom line, or from government. But I believe in the power of individuals like yourselves acting, empowered by your MTP with whatever area you see. I think collectively that is unstoppable. Okay, so let's see. You're the only person alive on the planet who can fulfill your purpose exactly as you do. We covered that. Oh yes, I want to say this part. So your massively transformative purpose is fed by your own unique life experiences. So you will have more life experiences, and you are allowed to evolve your MTP as you evolve. It's a living, breathing thing. It is your North Star, but it's like a star or like a sun. It's fuel, but it can also change, right? So And I'd like you to define it as sharply and clearly as you can, so it's super clear, especially to you, but then you can also change it. So another reason why this is important has to do with holding your shape. So we are bombarded with information. We are bombarded with other people's opinions. We are bombarded by people who love us, who have all kinds of ideas about what we should be doing with our lives. And the only way, I think, to maintain your shape, or he says integrity, Buckminster Fuller was an engineer, so he defined integrity as holding your shape. Like a bridge that has integrity does not collapse under the storm. And I want you to be able to hold your shape or not fall apart, keep your North Star clear. And so your massively transformative purpose helps you do that, reminds you of what matters. It creates boundaries around you. And it will help buffer you from this daily avalanche of information and opinion that are other people's truth but are not yours. So I really think it's good for you to put it where you can read it every day. I already talked about that. Yeah, and some people might think that you're an egomaniac because you're creating a big, bold vision. But again, I think saving the planet and humanity is up to each one of us. Just like destroying it has been the consequence of unconsciousness on our parts. But you're conscious, so I probably cry when I read this again because I cried when I wrote it yesterday. It was like really moving. So I wanted to share this with you, and I invite you to print out this sheet. It's online, and to write down your reaction to each of these things. Time permitting, maybe I'll check in for some reactions right now. Yeah, we're okay on time. So Buckminster Fuller was considered a failure by world standards. He was really struggling financially. His daughter died, and life was shit and looking like it was going to go downhill from here. So he was going to take his own life. But then he heard a voice that said, your life is not your own, and you don't have the right to take it. And that shifted him. And this is what he vowed as a result. So I vowed to keep myself alive, but only if I would never use me again for just me. Each one of us is born of two, and we really belong to each other. I vowed to do my own thinking instead of trying to accommodate everyone else's opinions, credos, and theories. I'm really moved by this. I vowed to apply my own inventory of experiences to the solving of problems that affect everyone aboard planet Earth. So that really moved me, and that is what I'm guiding us all to do. So I would love, to write down your reaction or hear your reaction in this moment.
It just gave me chills.
Yeah.
Where I go with that is my own experience before I started working with you, Aurora, is that the story I was telling myself was my gifts and strengths were weaknesses. And so I was completely shut down and blocked. And so, like doing the work that we've done together, now I embody my strengths because they're gifts from God. Like I was built this way with what I have for a reason. And this is the search has been to know what that reason is. And so if I am able to recognize that God gave me these things to help others, that's my purpose, is to live in service, that will make it easier for me to resist throwing them away. Like I was throwing them away because I was afraid, right? I turned them into weaknesses because it was painful for me to share them. People were, I was experiencing pain from the way that people were reacting to what I had to offer. And so rather than understand that their reaction meant, I wasn't to be working with them, I shut myself down completely. And so instead of just seeing that, oh, okay, move on to the next person. This person's not ready, So it's just a whole different way of thinking.
Oh, I really celebrate that.
Awesome.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and I really, you're thinking your life experiences are your treasure too, and it's such an honor for your tribe, for the right people who are willing to listen, to hear it. Not everybody's ready. So, okay, so I put my reaction there. Okay, so then here's another thing Buckminster Fuller said. So he was introduced to this big crowd. The guy whose reaction I've shared below was a businessman who got there really early because he really revered Buckminster Fuller, who invented the geodesic dome and has written dozens of books and he spoke almost 100 times a year, even until he was 80. He spoke like a week or two before he died. He was like very active. And so he had this huge, big tribute building him up. And the very first words out of Buckminster Fuller's mouth, it was in his 80s, at this talk, this fellow had come miles to hear him. He said, "The most special thing about me is that I'm an average man. I say that as a challenge to any limitation you may have accepted in your life." So that really moved me. But rather than sharing my reaction, I'll share what this fellow said, Robert White, author of Living an Extraordinary Life. "I was shocked. My business success and lots of therapy had not been adequate to erase a history of feeling less than. I felt I needed to stretch in order to get up to be average, and here was one of my heroes saying firmly and sincerely that he was just that, average. Something shifted within me, and it has made all the difference in my life. Bucky stole my best excuse for being and doing less than my potential." Anyone want to share a reaction?
I love that, because how many of us think we have to be extraordinary? We have to be all these people we read about and see and the things they're doing. And what we've got to realize is they all started as just everyday people with a passion. And that's what I'm seeing in Maureen and Heidi, is such a passion. No matter what, they want to get their message out. I love this.
You don't have to be extraordinary to make an extraordinary difference.
What I would offer is that, just what you were saying earlier, you can't have front without back. You can't have extraordinary without ordinary. So it's this, we are each other. So we are we are all of us average. And any time that I have had the pleasure of meeting someone I admired and getting to know them, they are like me. Like, we are the same. Just they've had more time doing what they are passionate about. And anybody, all the people that I admire who are successful always say, you can do it too. Like, we are no different. We are the same.
Exactly right. And what I love about this, it's like, okay, get over trying to be extraordinary before you do something. Just start doing whatever you can. Besides, the ego's need to be special is a whole other thing. Okay, Buckminster Fuller, and then I'm going to have Maureen comment because we missed her last time. We are called to be architects of the future, not its victims. The challenge is to make the world work for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time, with spontaneous cooperation and without ecological damage or disadvantage to anyone. I like that. How does that land with you, Maureen?
I like that we're architects of the future. I guess going back to the last one, because my message is self-love, then I I would actually go back to, I would actually say that every one of us is extraordinary,
Yeah.
just in our individuality. And Heidi's message on focus of we're all the same is it. I mean, that's very true. It's like everybody at their base just wants to love and be loved. I mean, it's a basic need for every single one of us. And if you can get down to that commonality, and that each one of us has our own unique purpose and our ordinariness, then that's a big part of my passion and my focus is to help others understand that.
Exactly right. Yeah, we are all extraordinary. And if we're all extraordinary, then we're all ordinary too.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the beautiful, like it opens it up. It opens it up so that, this joy, this purpose, it's accessible for everyone. There are no limits.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be, have a degree. You don't need to have a certain skin color or be follow a certain religion. It's for everyone.
Exactly right. Okay, let's
And
share one. Go ahead.
if we'll realize, as Maureen said, the extraordinary is, and this is something I have written down and remind myself, there's only one Maureen on this earth. There's only one Heidi, only one Aurora, only one me. And everybody's message, even though we think it is the same, it's not, because we've all lived different things in our life. We've all been raised differently. We've all had from different parts of the country, so to speak, and so that's what makes us so unique. That unique branded system, it's what makes us so extraordinary, is because none of us have the same fingerprint. We're like snowflakes. We're all different. We're all special. And God created every one of us, the masterpiece. And yeah, I love this.
Yeah, and God doesn't make mistakes. So I love this too. I'll just share this quickly and then share one more little bit of success actions for you to take. I was reading somewhere else about we're so mistaken about nouns. We're really verbs. So Buckminster Fuller put it this way: I live on earth at present and I don't know what I am. I know I'm not a category. I am not a thing, a noun. I seem to be a verb, an evolutionary process, an integral function of the universe. So I really loved this because I think that we are verbs. Leaders are verbs. Loving is a verb. We are not like a rock. We are verbs. So I really loved that. Okay, so he has this other thing that he says, which I've used in my MTP, so I got to explain it. I meant to type it in here. So he on his gravestone, Buckminster Fuller's gravestone says, "Call me Trim Tab." And the reference there, he was an engineer, so the reference there is on a big ocean liner, there is a rudder. And the rudder, of course, affects which way the boat goes. But there's a little trim tab on the rudder that turns the rudder, and then the rudder turns the ship. So if you tried to change the trajectory of an ocean liner by pushing on the bow or stern, it would require an enormous amount of effort. But the trim tab is the smallest amount of effort that then moves the rudder, which then moves the ocean liner. And so I think each one of us as leaders are trim tabs. And I like that word, although I have to explain it. So here's my updated this morning, changed it from yesterday, Massively Transformative Purpose. To launch thought leaders who serve as independent trim tabs in their own field of expertise and enthusiasm, with the overall result that we collectively raise the consciousness, playfulness, and prosperity of every life we touch, blessing humanity and Mother Earth. I'm an alchemist who helps the architects of a better future transmute the heavy lead, setbacks, trauma, and grief into the gold of wisdom, compassion, and enlightenment. So if you don't get choked up when you're reading your own Massively Transformative Purpose, then I think you're doing something wrong. So I'm totally okay with the fact that I get choked up. And, I've been revising it a little bit every day, and it's getting more and more clear, more and more a North Star. So I really like that. I think I'm going to stop this. How do I do that? Hang on a second.
Will you share that? Are you willing to share that with us? Like email?